Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today we're going over a silvopasture pond site that the boys and I put in. This is the watering point. I'm going to let Ben kind of talk about a little bit what we got going here and our water pad and kind of how we put all this in.
So we're standing on the back side of the pond right now. So this is the dam, and we're going to go up and over and in it in a second. But this pond is located on the far end closest to the road of this farm, and it goes back in a long strip sort of that way. And before we put this pond, and there's actually another one that we built in the far corner as well, but there used to only be one water point on the whole farm, and it really limited the way that we could graze it, because we'd have to bring them in and push them all the way down to that where that water is, and then strip them back from that, and it was just sort of a bit of a pain. And we had the opportunity to put in a bunch more watering points in the form of ponds all over. So now we got this one, the original, and then there's a small new one also in the back corner. So it's really going to give us a lot of flexibility in that way. But yeah, we're standing on the pad of this pond. This is the shut off, and that's where the tank's going to go, where that pipe is sticking out of the ground. And then there's a pipe that goes back underneath the dam, and we're going to install the stand pipe in a minute here. But yeah, there's your shut off.
Oh, there it goes. So that's a 2-inch Schedule 80 shut off PVC. I'm sorry, polyethylene. It's got PVC pipe going through the dam, and then it comes out, like Ben said, right over there. And so we're going to bring a skid steer in here. It just was so tight down here. Johnny couldn't get that big dozer to level this off very nice, so he's going to bring a skid steer in here, and that's why Ben and Isaac and I seed and strawed this morning, and Ben left a couple big clumps of hay here. So once Johnny gets this all nice and smooth, we can seed it and we can straw it.
And so you can see the seed that we put down. I don't know, like that's the sort of amount that we're going for down in here. I don't know if it comes out on camera. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it.
You can see it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Well, Ben, you want to go ahead and put that cap on? Let's go up here and show them the pond, and you're gonna get to do a little work up here. Well, there is. There's a ton of seed in here, and I bet you we got some seeding out of this hay too.
Yeah. Mature hay has a lot of seed still in it.
Yeah. So we'll have some fescue, orchard grass, probably a little bit of clover, maybe some lespedeza. So, whoa.
Here's your pond.
Yeah.
We already collected a small puddle of water, which is making you nervous.
Well, we didn't have our standpipe in, and I'm like, oh no, we got 1.5 inches of rain. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to let the water out of the pond to get our standpipe on it, but we were lucky; it didn't fill up that much.
There's a lot of dirt that needed to get hydrated first.
How big do you think this pond is, Ben?
I don't know.
Probably 1/8 of an acre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
Yeah,
it's definitely.
Well, what over there is our earth and spillway. So
oh yeah,
yep.
Right over here.
So the water will go out over here before it goes over the top of the dam. Now some people will put a pipe in the dam, a big pipe, to let the water go through the pipe. On a dam this size, you'd be looking at probably $700–800 just for that pipe.
Because this is lower than the lowest point of the dam.
Yes.
So in theory, it'll go out before it goes over the dam.
Yes. Yes. That's the way it's supposed to work.
It's supposed to work. Sometimes they settle a little bit, but
yeah. So how many bales of hay did it take us to do this?
like one full one and then maybe a quarter. So like maybe 1 1/4 bales.
How'd you spread all this hay? How'd you get it out here?
Well, there's a couple bales that are stacked up there, but we used a 1/4 of a bale that was left over from spreading in the other pond with a bale and roller, pitchforks.
What kind of bale and roller?
The Greg Judy bale and rolling trailer.
Works pretty sleek, doesn't it?
For sale at Green Pastures Farm.
Well, we used an ATV.
Yep.
It was pretty steep.
Yeah, especially with the seeding. What we did with the hay was we just did a circles around the top.
Okay.
Around the top of the pond, and then forked it down in, because throwing it down into the pond is pretty easy.
Uh-huh.
But the seeding was a bit of a trick because it's so steep on this side. Isaac was driving and he'd have to make a pass down this way and then turn around and come back up, because he wasn't gonna try to go sideways on there, or we'd be fishing it out of that little mud puddle.
I thought he might use this like a roller rink.
Oh, he thought he came around here with a lot of speed, then saw this and was like, I'm not going around there. But
yeah, no, he did right. He went straight down, straight back up, and just kept doing that.
yeah,
So
don't want to roll forward.
the young man seeded this and was starting on the hay, and before I got here, I had to take Johnny up to another pond site. But they got the idea. I told them, I said, I want this thing strawed right down the bottom of the pond. And they took me for granted. Look at that. The reason you do that, folks, is your pond fills up. It may take a year, year and a half, whatever. Any bare ground above the water, all it's going to do, you're losing dirt. It's washing right back down into that pond that you just paid to have dug out. So put you some hay on here. If the grass, the grass will get growing on this, and it'll hold all your sod. It's not gonna erode on you. And if the grass gets covered up with water, so what? It's gonna jumpstart the microbiology in the water. So let's go down here, Ben, and you're gonna show us how we put this pipe on. You're gonna explain what we got going on here.
So here's the other end of that pipe, and that's attached down where that shutoff valve was that we just looked at.
Okay, that's a bell housing.
Yep.
So that's the end. You want to talk a little bit about why the bell housing always goes toward the pond?
Yeah, this is something that Johnny taught us recently. So if you can imagine so there's what, maybe three, yeah, there's what, maybe, I think there's 3 or 4. Four lengths of pipe that are identical, where you got a bell like this on this end, and then the other end is just straight. And so they nest into each other like so, right?
Yes.
And so you need to make sure that your bell is on the downhill side so it works like a shingle, because it's glued in, or it's glued in there, like, but if you flipped it around and the glue was to ever break or something like that,
right,
you got water that now can just go from the bell housing and leak over the top of this, versus the way it is now, it'll still act like a shingle where like any excess water
goes down
is just already in the bell, and it'll go down the pipe.
Yep.
So
I thought that was very...
Yeah.
And Johnny is so mild, and just, he's got a great attitude. He's like, Greg, I don't want to be nosy and think I'm know-it-all, but I think I'd turn that bell housing around.
Because he saw the other video.
He saw the other video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And by golly, he's right.
Yeah.
So I was glad Johnny spoke up and said something. So what's your first step here?
So we're going to take this little short splice.
What's all that purple stuff on there?
It's primer.
So you've already primed it.
We've already primed this. We've primed the inside of that, and
Okay.
we've primed the inside of that.
Okay.
And that's our standpipe right there.
Okay.
So we're going to put our insert into our standpipe.
You got an elbow already glued on.
Yep. And then this deal is going to get fastened in like so. And we drilled our holes already.
1/4 inch.
1/4 inch holes, maybe 2 inches apart.
Yep.
And then in the cap as well.
Okay.
But then you were explaining how we didn't drill any holes past about this point. And this is about 5 foot.
Yep.
5 foot and a bit pipe.
Yep.
And so the bottom 3 feet, you said don't drill any holes, because it'll take, what, 30 years for your pond to silt up from down here
Yep.
all the way up to here. So you're just drawing clean water for the duration that you're going to be using the pond.
Correct.
If you were to drill them down here, you'd be pulling all sorts of gunk into your tank.
In your tank.
Or whatever.
Yep.
So
That's cool.
yeah.
All right. So you're ready to go ahead and glue on your first piece there. And Ben already drove our fiberglass rod in the ground. That was an 8-footer, and he drove it in the ground over 3 feet. So that fiberglass rod, that's a solid 1-inch fiberglass rod. It's not going anywhere. So you're gonna put your primer on?
Well, primer's already on.
So you're gonna glue.
So we're gonna glue. We'll just do this half. Around the inside. And then push it in and twist.
And just hold it a minute. Okay. While that glue's still semi-wet, Ben, where your hand's at, go ahead and glue that other one on before it sets up. Let me hold that for you. So I'm going to hold this.
Multitask.
Yep. I'll hold this out of the dirt and everything for you.
Around here.
Okay, run a bead right around the top of that pipe. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Then in there. There you go. And now it's up to Ben. When he spins that in there, I'm going to tell him whether he's straight up and down or not. I don't think the fish will know it. Okay, now come up straight with that. There you go. You got a good index with that pipe. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now the fish aren't going to know whether it's straight or not.
So he already had it primered. He just put the glue on it. He's going to sit there and hold it a minute. And then just to kind of hold it in place, he's going to put there you go. Now you just put a piece of tape right up here where it's not drilled at, right there. Right above my hand. There you go. Okay. Now for the guts of holding that to that pipe, he's going to use this polyethylene rope. It doesn't rot or rust as long as it's underneath water.
So you want to put 3 of them?
Two.
Two?
Yeah, you put one at the bottom and one right up there. Yep. So I'd go around it twice. You got enough rope there. There you go.
That good?
Yep. And then tie you a double square knot on that. Can I hold my finger there for you?
I'm going to try to do it before I cut it. Let's see if it'll work.
Okay. All right, that's good. Now to keep that rope from sliding, Ben, we've got a drill here. Go ahead and drill a hole. Yeah, take that drill and drill a hole right below that knot through the fiberglass rod.
Just straight through.
Yeah, straight through right there. Because I've got a smaller piece of polyethylene rope we can use to tie that rope in place. I forgot about that. There you go. Okay, now here's that smaller rope. He's got a small piece there that'll go through that hole. So run it through the hole, kind of like a fish hook.
Okay.
There you go. Then bring it up through here. There you go. Make it double it. You've got enough rope there to double it.
Okay.
Go around again. There you go. This will keep that heavier rope from ever sliding. There you go. We got plenty there to tie a knot. Yeah. So once he gets all that done, folks, we will take duct tape and tape that whole mess. And we know the duct tape will come loose underneath water. The duct tape is going to be on there to protect that rope from the sun until the water covers it up.
So you want to leave a tail?
Go longer,
like
longer, right there. Yep. Now the reason you go longer, Ben, is you can go ahead and tie a knot in that. So when you tie a knot in the end of that rope, I don't have a match or I'd burn it. But once you tie a knot in there, it can't fray out any further than past the end of that knot.
Oh.
I would retie that. Get your knot. Yeah, get your knot up there closer to that post. There you go. Perfect. Now you're cooking. Snug it up against the post. There, perfect. Okay, now just take your duct tape and tape that whole mess. It's not really a mess, but
beautiful mess.
it's a beautiful mess. It's a beautiful mess. That's right. It's gonna look sharp when you get it all taped. There you go. Let me hold it in place for you. Yeah. Okay, now see, the reason you put that fiberglass pole on there, folks, is somebody comes out here fishing and they get a treble hook or something hooked in one of those holes. They're not going to break that off because that fiberglass post is in the ground 3.5 foot. So that tape is just to protect that rope until this all gets underneath water.
Keep the UV off of it.
Keep the UV off of it. UV is the enemy of polyethylene, any kind of polycarbonate, PVC. PVC stands up to UV a lot better than other things, but over time it'll get brittle too. Okay, so with that, I think I am going to wind this up, Ben. We don't need to show them on that one. Yeah, it's just another thing. But we're going to have about, it looks to me like, about 7-8 foot of water in here. And it's going to make a really nice pond for the wildlife, the turkeys, the turkey, deer, coyote, everything that wants to use it. Water is the spice of life. And with that, we're anxiously waiting some rain. They're talking about rain this weekend, aren't they?
Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday.
Yeah, so we're not getting this done in too short a time. We're gonna,
It's got to be done.
It's got to be done. So what's amazing, Ben, what I've been noticing, the ponds we've built, is the fescue is growing.
Especially the early ones.
The early ones, and we're in the middle of November and it's still growing.
Yep.
So that's exciting. We got a good stand of new fescue coming up and other stuff. I'm sure there's some other seeds in there as well, but just nice to see it get a jump start here in the fall, so in the spring it'll just explode. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to show what we cut up here. We had a few logs that we took out, and they're right in the way. They're right in the way of this pond. And I had the boys stacking as I was cutting, and we ended up with, well, there's 50 shiitake logs down here off of this tree, and a full pickup load of firewood. There's the logs stacked down. Then we cut those 4 foot, and then that was a white oak. This is a black oak right here. Ended up with another pretty good rick of wood. And I didn't count those, Ben, but I bet there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. Yeah, there's 35. 35 more logs there.
Big saw log.
We got some saw logs. I think there's another saw log. Oh yeah, up here. Yep. This is a really nice one here. Yeah. This is a 12-footer. And the boys noticed as soon as I cut it off.
Yeah. The tree's like, what did he say? Somewhere between 45 and 55 years old?
I think, yeah, Isaac counted 52 rings or something like that. That's a pretty nice, that's going to go well on that mill. Our bandsaw, we've got a Wood-Mizer bandsaw that will absolutely make some beautiful lumber out of that. We got another one up there just like it. So that's another, that was a 10-footer up there. This one is a 12. So we got some lumber, we got some shiitake logs, we got some firewood, we got a beautiful pond, and we've got it all seeded, and Ben just got the standpipe put on it. And so we're ready. We're ready to see what's going to happen here. But I know one thing, it's going to be just a real draw for wildlife. And that's because they can sneak out of that woods right there, get them a drink. And they're always one jump away from the silvopasture and some shelter, and they got water. So with that, I'm going to sign off. All y'all new to the channel, hit that subscribe button on the way out if you would, and the like. I'd appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.